Hello guys, thank you so much for joining me for another video. I am so excited today to bring you my review of Rebecca Yaros's Onyx Storm. Now, I have been anxiously awaiting the release of this book. It came out on January 21st, and of course, I was traveling for work that day, so I wasn't able to go out and get my hands on a copy. But on my way back home, I was able to find this one at the airport. So I was super happy that I was able to get my hands on it. Now, while it may not be a limited edition copy, I do love the dragons on it and I love just the whole graphics on the book. But more importantly, right, is the story. And I want to talk about it. I am a huge fan of the Empyrean series. And apparently, there's a lot of fans out there because the book sold like 2.7 million copies in the first week. But I have been fanning out even before the book came out. Here you can see I had my coffee cup that said violent little thing with my dragons on it. I got my shirt going. I was ready for this book. Also, had my fragrance today, which kind of has the same aesthetic as the book, that black and gold going on. This is Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, obviously a mix of tobacco and vanilla. This is a very deep, dark, mysterious, alluring fragrance, and I felt like it was just the perfect combination for talking about this book today. Now, as you're aware, my videos are not sponsored by these brands. I just like to let you know what I'm wearing as I try to set the atmosphere and the mood to talk about these books. So let's get into it. Now, for Onyx Storm, you would have had to have read the first two books in the series because there's a lot of tie-ins with the story from the previous books. Onyx Storm picks right up after Iron Flame, okay, where we're thrust right back into the story of Violet and Xaden. At the end of Iron Flame, Xaden had to channel in order to win the battle. And unfortunately, due to that, he is now transforming into Venin. So this book, we are on the edge of our seat trying to figure out what is going to happen to Xaden. Is he going to turn full on Venin? Or are they going to be able to find a cure for him? So we're just thrust right back into the story. Now, Xaden is at a crossroads, obviously. He's turning into the very thing that he hates, that they are in a war against. We see how he is dealing with that situation where he's trying to help still as much as he can, while also trying to keep his distance away from his friend as well as Violet. But obviously we know Violet and Xaden, they have a very hot and heavy relationship. So that is very difficult to do for him. But he is showing how much he cares and how much he's committed to Violet's safety by trying to keep away from her as much as possible. So while that kind of reduces the amount of spicy scenes in the book, it is still a good way to show the evolution of their relationship beyond the physical. So I was happy to see that. So that is obviously a main theme in the book, then trying to slow the progression of him becoming Venin and try to ultimately find a cure for him. I also like the evolution of Violet in the book. Before, we saw her as a little bit of this weakling, so to speak. She has this condition where her bones break very easily. She was struggling to become a writer and bonding with her dragons and all that. But in this book, she really comes into her own a little bit more. She actually is leading the excursions into other territories, which was good to see because we're expanding the universe significantly in this book. We're introduced to new territories, new cultures, new dragons, new characters, which was awesome to see because it takes us outside of the War College and we get introduced to other characters who bring context to Violet's story. There's a lot of mystery around her dad's journal, her mom's, and some of the characters that essentially help to bring some context towards that. She is taking on more of a leadership role in leading the charge in exploring these new territories. Firstly, trying to get support from them for them to join the war against them. Then she is also trying to find the 7 species of dragon. As we know, she's also bonded to Andarna, and we're trying to find Andarna's species as well, hoping not only to help Andarna find her family, but also hoping that those dragons will join in the war as well. And then lastly, but definitely not least, because it's like the underlying thing in the story, is she's also trying to see if anyone in any of these territories or isles have a solution or a cure for Xaden. A lot of development of her as a character. We see an evolution of her bond with her main dragon. And again, just that interaction with Andarna as she tries to help her find her family is also good to see. We do get a good rounded picture of the additional characters in the book. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Jack is still in the picture. He has been captured. We know now that he was always full on Venin. So he's been captured, but he is refusing to give them information on what the Venin has planned. So he's still there. Sloane is still there, and she now has a better relationship with Violet. She no longer essentially blames Violet for the death of her brother. We still have Dane. So yes, a lot of the old characters are still there, and there's definitely more development on that end as well. We do also see additional characters exhibiting second signets, and that is a main theme in here as well, because we were always wondering if Violet was going to exhibit a second signet, which she did, because we were wondering, seeing that she has two dragons, obviously Taryn gave her lightning as her first signet, so we were wondering what the second signet would be from Andarna. And it turns out that her second signet is that she is a dream walker. So she is actually able to go into the dreams of people, which is essentially like an intrinsic power. So while she may not be able to read their minds, she's able to go into their dreams. It's a very powerful signet that she got from Andarna. But I love just the whole evolution of the book. We get to meet Xaden's mom in this book and get a little bit more backstory as to why she left, and maybe a little bit more about why Xaden is the way that he is. So that was very refreshing to see. And we get to also see different people in the different territories and how some of them just definitely they don't want to be allies. They don't want anything to do with the war. While there are others that as committed to send in their troops to help them win the war. I think that will definitely develop more as people from these other territories come into the story. That will be good. So the pace and the growth of the characters and the story was really good. In some parts, I felt like it was a little bit underdeveloped, which I think is probably the main thing that people have talked about, is that there's a little bit more that could have been done to flesh out the stories and some of the characters and all of that. But it was still good enough for me to feel that this was a good installment in the Empyrean series. And I'm definitely looking forward to finding out where this goes, because the book essentially left us with a cliffhanger. There is this big war, as was expected with the Venin. Violet had to face her new arch rival, or she's now the antagonist in the book. She's actually a storm wielder, so she has to face her in this big war. But even after doing that and defeating her, there's still a cliffhanger because now no one knows where Xaden disappeared to. She was unconscious, and then when she came to, she couldn't find Xaden. She had a ring on her finger, so essentially they're married now. But yeah, nobody could find Xaden or knew what happened to Xaden. So that was where it left us, just this what happened, like just trying to figure that part out. So I think that it's a good setup, for the next book. So we're looking forward to that. Overall, though, it's not my favorite in the series. My favorite is still Iron Flame, but this was still a very good book. It's fast-paced, a lot of action, new characters, new territories. We learn more about the Signets, the dragons, and all of that. So it was a very good installment in the series, and I am looking forward to the next one. I would say this is probably, for me, a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And it's just because I'm putting it up against Iron Flame and Fourth Wing. As far as ranking, it's where it's supposed to be. It is the third book in the installment, and that's where I rank it. On the spiciness scale, there is still some spice between Violet and Xaden. There's also some additional relationships that develop outside of them as well, which is nice to see. But I don't think it would be too much for anyone. As I said, he's trying to stay away from her so he doesn't accidentally hurt her. If he does channel, the level of interactions is definitely less than previous book. But when it happens, it is really good. So guys, if you have read this book, please let me know your thoughts on Onyx Storm. I wasn't disappointed. I was happy to have gotten another installment in the series. And I'm definitely looking forward to book 4. Now, I don't know how long that's going to take. I could wait another year for it, but I will be here because I'm a huge fan of Rebecca Yaros. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you do like it, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you guys. Bye.